Hey, we're live with episode number 215 of What Does This Button Do? Isn't that amazing? It is. So, it's an educational show about smartphones and technology with us geeks on tour. I want to remind everyone that if you're on YouTube, go ahead and click the bell, say like us, and that kind of stuff. We really appreciate that. So we have a quick tip here. What do you have, Chris?
Okay, there we go. I just wanted to make sure we were on here. Well, time time keeps on ticking, and if you have to deal with multiple time zones, it can get so confusing. One of the things that I really love is the little widgets that you can put right on your phone. So that's my tip that I'm going to start with. And I'm going to show you how to put a multiple clock widget on both an iPhone and an Android. So there we go. This is my iPhone, and I'm talking about, this is the widget up here at the top. And it has 4 clocks. It's showing 3 o'clock in Miami, 12 o'clock in Los Angeles, 5 a.m. tomorrow in Sydney, and 9 p.m. in Paris. Now, how did I get that widget? So first I'm going to remove it so that I can put it back. You just long press and remove widget and remove. All right, now you long press and tap the little plus at the top. And that's how you get it back. And there's all sorts of widgets. So we want to find the one for the clock. And I don't know that one has, I like the one that spreads it out left to right. So I'm just going to go down to clock, and notice I have 3 dots here. I have 3 choices. I can just add an individual clock if I want one for a certain location. But notice how the identification of where that is right on the clock, and it gets kind of hidden. So, and this one is just too tiny. I like that one. So I tap add widget. And then I want to, and then I tap it to get the options. And I want the 4 cities to be Miami,
Hold on.
No. Long press. Edit widget. Instead of Cupertino, I want Miami. Instead of Tokyo, I want Los Angeles. Instead, no, I think I do want Sydney. Sydney is fine. And Paris is fine. Okay, so I have the 4 cities that I want, and I just tap on the main part of the screen, and there is my 4 clock widget. All right, Android. Here's the widget that I have on my Android. It's just a 2 clock, and it's a digital one, not the analog clock. I kind of like it. And I am showing Phoenix and Salt Lake City just to point out the craziness that time zones get, because Phoenix does not follow what is it?
Standard time.
they don't follow daylight savings time.
Right.
So even though Salt Lake City is in the same time zone, it doesn't. So if you live out there, it might get confusing. It's nice to have a clock right on your phone. Same thing, I long press and remove widget. Now long press and widgets appears down at the bottom, and I find the clock. And here are also, I have several choices. I want the dual clock. So touch and hold a widget and put it right there. And now it wants to know, what do I want? So, and here it's right on the map. That's kind of nice. So I can just tap on Phoenix and add, but then I can't tap on Salt Lake City. So Chicago, I'll tap change, and United States. Every one of these has a slightly different way of finding. There we go, Salt Lake City, and change. And I'm done. Come on.
She's almost done.
Yeah, there
she's
Salt
done.
Lake City and Phoenix. How to, and now you just tap your screen somewhere to stop it. And you can change that background to make it even more visible, or if you don't need to. So there we go. There is a 2-city time clock widget on my Android, and there's a 4-city one on my iPhone.
All right. Good job. So that was your quick tip.
Yep.
I like it. Okay. And here we are. So we're Geeks on Tour. I'm Jim.
And I'm Chris.
And do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your Android phone or your iPad tablet? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks, also known as propeller heads. We are technology geeks, and we've been in computer training and support since the early 80s. But so we are a little bit different from most geeks in that we really like to teach, to help people figure these things out, to help us figure these things out. Our website is geeksontour.com, and all of our content is collected there.
Okay. So, Chris, where are we now?
We are finally Geeks on Tour after a year and 3 months or so of being geeks at home. We are back on tour. We are headed up to Gillette, Wyoming and Rock Springs, Wyoming for a couple of big RV rallies. Right now, we are stopped over at a friend's in Waco, Texas, and we are driveway camping.
Some people call that mooch docking.
we are mooching, and we did this once before. If you look at episode 36, in 2015, we stopped in Waco and did one of our shows from our friend Frank Drew's place.
And
but that was before kids. So we're letting him relax today. He might walk by and say hi.
He might come through.
But I want to mention, so we are at Frank's house, and look at this beautiful scene behind us. I think it is so beautiful. It looks like a fake background. So just to make sure,
it's not a green screen, huh? We're usually with a green screen, you know. There she is, and it's sunny. We were a little worried that we would have thunderstorms while this thing was happening, but we lucked out. I think we have good weather. You might hear some birds in the background, though.
It is so nice to have good friends across the country when you're an RVer. This is our 4th driveway camping spot this trip, and you get to be neighbors with your good friends for a night or two. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I want to say hi to some of our friends here for live. Chuck Barker, yeah. Hey, Chuck, and thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Chuck and Nadine, 60 years. Awesome.
Wow.
Nancy's here. That's good. Debbie Diver, I hope you're doing well. Southern California. And Butch Bible, yeah, cool. Bellefontaine needs some rain. All right. Kiki. All right. Debbie says even YouTube is confused. It says the show will be live in 61 minutes. And, that might have been my fault.
Hey.
Hey, we got
Here
the
we
kids.
go.
Hi,
Just-
we're watching you.
Oh,
All
yeah?
right.
Yeah, just walk by and say hi.
Come back here. Pretty cool. All right, now get out of here. All right.
Cool.
All right.
Yes, we know that YouTube is confused, and no, we can't figure it out. YouTube, it did not have a setting for time zone, so this is kind of
No. Oh, right.
exactly why we did this show. Once you start traveling across time zones or changing anything, it does get so confusing. But here we are, and hopefully here are you. Most of the people who know us got our email that had the right time,
And time zone.
because it is 2 o'clock in Central Time Zone. And because we get just as confused, wherever we are, we like to do it at 2 o'clock our time. So it needs to be adjusted for the other time zones.
Okay. Hi, Gary and Richard. Good to see you. Oh, Rick Hoppins, how are you, sir? Huey? Pat? Nice. And if I missed you, I'll try and get back to you. Thanks so much for being here with us. Our premium members are the ones who make this possible. We are
Member supported.
and we really, why we do this. Because we can, and you guys make it possible. We really appreciate that. All right. I want to remind everyone about the Backstage Pass. We have a members only meeting. It's a Zoom meeting after the show. Chris sent out some email earlier today, and you can also find that on the login page, member login page at geeksontour.com. Deep breath. Trouble with time zones. Chris?
You know, I really just don't think that human beings were intended to time travel, to keep track. I mean, we are used to being in one place. You know what time it is in that place. But that's not the way of the world today. So we need tools, and that's what this show is about. So I'll be giving you some tips and tricks and some understanding so that you can not miss your appointments.
And we'll try and learn from it too.
So first of all is when you travel, how do you know what time it is where you are? First of all, cell phones are great for this because they are connected to the cell towers locally, and that's how they can get their time if you let them. So let me show you where that setting is. This is on the iPhone. And settings and general and date and time. And you may have never visited here because it is by default set automatically. So if that's what you want, you're good to go. Every time it connects to a new cell tower or gets a new GPS reading, your time zone will change on your phone. If for some reason, if you're traveling all around the world and you want to stay in your home time zone, then you would turn that off and set a home time zone to whatever city you want. But generally speaking, it's great that cell phones do it automatically. And it's exactly the same on the Android. It looks different, but it's the same commands. You go to settings and general and date and time and automatic. Or if you don't want it automatic, turn that off and select your time zone. Okay. So that's how to know what time it is by using your cell phone. That's the best way. But what about your computer? What time does your computer say it is? I use my computer all the time. In the lower right-hand corner, that is where I look for the time. And my computer right now says it's 3:15. And what time did the phones say? The phones said 2:15. What's wrong? My computer still thinks I'm in Florida, still thinks I'm in the Eastern time zone. So that could really mess me up. How do you check that? How do you change it? You right click on the time in the lower right hand corner and choose adjust date and time. And there is a set time zone automatically, which was off on mine. If you turn that on, it should get your current, but for example, in traveling here from Florida, I found that it took it a full 24 hours before it updated. I'm not sure what was going on under the scenes, but it didn't do it right away. So you may want to, or you may need to specifically set the time zone. And I will say that we are in Central. Notice that Central says UTC -6. And we'll talk about that. Whereas the Eastern was UTC -5, and Arizona is UTC -7. Just chew on that a little bit. So I have now changed my computer to be Central Time, and now when I click on the time in the lower right-hand corner, it says the proper time for where I am. So that's number one. How do you know the time where you are as you travel? Then the next thing is, what about how do you find out the time somewhere else? Well, you can look at a map and see the time zone, find that UTC or GMT -6 or 7, and try to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, that never works for me. I invariably calculate in the wrong direction. So here's a little video we recorded a while back that gives a tip on how to find out the time somewhere else.
Converting time zones. We are planning an online meeting for our Geeks on Tour members on this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. And a lot of people say, well, I never figure that right. When is that my time? So I want to show you a little tip. And all I'm going to do is ask Google. So I'm going to do it first on my Android phone, my Samsung. Hey, Google, convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Los Angeles.
4 p.m. Sunday in Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles is 3 hours behind Miami.
So it is just converting 7 o'clock today. Now, watch this. Hey, Google.
Hold my beer.
Convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Auckland, New Zealand.
11 a.m. Monday in Auckland, New Zealand.
So it even lets you know not just the time of day, but the day. So it's 7 o'clock tonight would be 11 tomorrow in New Zealand. Okay, so that's Google on an Android phone. Now let's try Siri on an iPhone. Hey Siri, convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Los Angeles.
Okay, I found this on the web for convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Los Angeles. Check it out.
Huh.
Nowhere near as helpful. Let me just try the other one. Hey Siri, convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay, I found this on the web for convert 7 p.m. Miami time to Auckland, New Zealand. Check it out.
Well, I guess we could figure it out from there, but I really like the way Google does it a lot better. So if you have an iPhone and you want to use Google, no problem. It is just, it's that icon right there. That is the Google search and assistant. So the only thing I can't do is I can't say, hey, Google.
Well, you can.
Oh, you can. Convert 7 p.m. Miami to Los Angeles.
4 p.m. Sunday in Los Angeles, California.
Okay. So that is my tip this week, is use your Google search assistant to convert time zones.
All right. Good job.
And if anybody watching has some favorite tools that they use, we'd love to hear about them. Put it in the chat. If you have a website or an app that really helps you when you're traveling or when you're scheduling appointments for elsewhere. Now, just a little bit of the background of the under the hood about how time works is, first of all, there is absolutely two pieces. I mean, we're accustomed to living in one place and having all our appointments in that one place, so it has one time. But no, every time you enter a time, you are entering both a time and a location. So the time where you are needs those two pieces, a time and where you are. Now, the way Google Calendar works, this is going to be our example of how to schedule. We're going to use Google Calendar. So, and I want you to think through this process. If you pull up a Google Calendar and add an entry and you put in 5 p.m. and you happen to be in New York, that is GMT or UTC, and I'll explain those in a second, -4. So Google Calendar doesn't even record 5 o'clock. It records 9 o'clock. And since it knows that you're in New York, it displays it as 5 o'clock. So same thing, if you're in Dallas and you enter 4 o'clock, Google Calendar does not enter 4 o'clock. It enters 9 o'clock in Greenwich Mean Time, which is what latitude? Anyway, it's a place in England where they have decided that this is where the standard time starts. Greenwich Mean Time. UTC stands for
Universal Time Coordinated. Easy for me to say.
And it is the standard, and it's technically a little bit more accurate than the Greenwich Mean Time, but basically they're both the same thing. You take that time and you adjust by the number that shows for your time zone. So if you enter 3 p.m. and you're in Los Angeles, Google Calendar records that as 9 p.m. so that the next time you look at your phone, if you are in New York, it shows you the time in New York. So with that, just a little bit of background of how it works. This video shows you actually working with Google Calendar.
Hi, this is Chris Gould with Geeks on Tour. Have you ever missed an appointment because you put it on your calendar and failed to properly account for the different time zone that this appointment was in? I'm going to show you using Google Calendar how to properly adjust for time zones. First, I want to show you what the problem is. So here I am in my Google Calendar, and I'm going to set an appointment for happy hour. And that means 5 o'clock, right? So I just click on Add Time and 5 o'clock and save. So I now have an appointment on my calendar for today at 5 o'clock for happy hour. But I'm going to show you what this looks like on my phone. So here's my phone, and I use Google Calendar on my phone. I open it up, And it says I have an appointment today for happy hour at 4 o'clock. So what's the problem here? Well, my phone is a smartphone and it knows that I am in Texas, which is Central Time. My computer still thinks that I'm in Florida. So it set an appointment for 5 o'clock Eastern Time, which is 4 o'clock Central Time. Now, some people might make the mistake that they try to manually fix it. So on the phone, I can edit this and say, no, it's not 4 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock. Okay, and save it. But has that actually solved the problem? Let's go take a look at the computer again. And now the computer says 6 o'clock. So behind the scenes, Google Calendar is taking the time you tell it and automatically adjusting for the time zone. My calendar thinks I'm in Eastern Time Zone. So 5 o'clock in Central is 6 o'clock in Eastern. How do you tell your calendar what time zone you're in? In the settings of the calendar, you can specify the time zone. So I'll say, no, I have moved. Now, there are other ways to get your computer to prompt you to change your time zone, but this is how you specify it in the calendar itself. I am in Central Time Zone. Now, when I go back out, we see that it properly says 5 o'clock. Okay, so now what if we're going to be back home in Florida on the 30th, and I want to set a 5 o'clock happy hour? I click on the 30th, and I give it a title, add a time, and I want to set it for 5 o'clock, but it's important to tell it, since I'm talking about a time zone other than where I am, I want this to be 5 o'clock in the Eastern Time Zone. So you just click where it says time zone, change that to Eastern, and save. Now notice that this happy hour I just scheduled for the 30th says 4 p.m. That's because it's it's showing me the time for the time zone I am currently in, which is Central. But when I switch the calendar back to Eastern, and I can do that manually now in the settings, and time zone, and Eastern. So when we are back home in Florida, this appointment will appear properly at 5 p.m. So the lesson is, if you're scheduling an appointment that happens in a different time zone from where you are, make sure to put the time in that time zone and specify the time zone. Then Google Calendar handles everything else.
Okay. So a big point there, or I think the number one takeaway that I hope you get from this session today is just to use time zones. People tend to see that the time is wrong, and they open their device, either their computer or their phone, and they just want to change the time to the time that they know it is. That is just going to cause you so much headaches.
Tell me about it.
down the road. You can't do that, because the time is what the time is. It's the time zone that adjusts it for when you travel. Okay, so that's just my little bandstand there. And yes, it's something that I have learned the hard way. So every calendar event has a time zone, whether you see it or not. I mean, here is a screenshot of our calendar for next week, actually, when we are at this RV rally. We are giving a smartphone seminar on one day, a website seminar on the next day, a Google Photos and a Maps. And these are the times that are currently showing on my calendar. But I look at the program for the RV rally and it said, no, we're not giving a smartphone seminar at 4:30. We're giving it at 2:30, I think. Well, it's displaying the time based on the time zone I'm in when I'm looking at it. I can see what time it was actually entered by going into edit mode. So if you click on that appointment and you edit it, you will see that it was entered as 2:30 Mountain Time. But because, so it's being displayed for me right now in Central Time. So if this was an online meeting and I am here in Central Time, I would need to log in at 4:30 to be proper time for an event in Gillette at 2:30. Got it? Clear as mud?
Yeah.
Okay.
But when in doubt, spell it out. Right?
Okay, but I want to show a little bit more demo on that exact. So here on the calendar, this is our real calendar for next week, where we are in at FMCA in Gillette, and it's at 4:30. Now, I just want you to notice if I change, so it says 4:30, 3, 8:30, and 4:30, okay? So just remember that. Now I go into settings, and I see, well, next week, though, we will be in Mountain Time. And it's going to change all of them. And notice it did not say Central Time before, and it does not say Mountain Time here. But the time displayed is according to the time zone that the calendar is using. So that's kind of a hard one to get through, because you look at it, appointment, and you say, oh, that time doesn't look right.
Yeah.
But
and maybe it isn't right.
Yeah. Okay. So there will come times that you still don't trust it. Like if I look at the 6 o'clock dinner at Elks, and I'm seeing that it says 8 o'clock. Well, if I really think about it, I will understand that it's showing me 8 o'clock because I'm in Central Time. But when we get there, it will be 6 o'clock. But just to make sure that I understand that I entered it correctly or not, I put in the description 6 p.m. Gillette time. That has saved me so many times, just to say, did I enter it right or didn't I? Well, if I spell it out in the description, then I'm confident that it's showing up on my calendar right. So that's my advice.
When in doubt, spell it out.
Yep.
Good one. So I'm going to summarize it.
So summary, yes. How to enter calendar events for a different time zone. Do not try to calculate the time and set your own time. Use the local time where the event is happening to specify the time zone. So if you even do this just fairly regularly, you may want to get into a habit of just always specifying a time and a time zone, not taking for granted that your current time zone is the correct one. So if you enter the local time and the time zone, then the calendar software will do the rest of the work for you. It will display the times according to your current time zone, but it stores the times according to the original entry.
Okay, questions have you seen?
I don't see any questions.
Oh,
But-
okay.
Oh, but Chris Rosinski has a couple of tips that are cool.
Okay.
You see?
I don't.
Okay.
There
Okay.
you go. So time zones are 15 degrees apart starting at the poles. Yeah. How about that?
360 degrees of a circle at the pole divided by 24 hours a day. That's cool.
15 degrees.
If I was into math. Oh, okay.
And say hi to Edith for us, please. Okay.
And one more.
Yeah, Arizona Time Health Plan. When the USA goes to daylight savings time, Arizona becomes California time. And Debbie Diver had something in there too. She says that there are some places in Kentucky that different counties have different time zones. It's crazy there.
So do not try to figure this out yourself. Use the tools. And I've been using Google Calendar, but I'm sure that all the other calendar tools for phones and computers that are online absolutely do the same thing.
Okay. Hi, Jolyn. She has a number of options for conversions, and she pins it on her Chrome browser. World clock.
Well, she put a link, but the links don't work. You cannot put links into the chat, so we need it spelled out or
Okay.
something there.
Yeah.
But World Clock, there are lots of tools. Yes.
And what else? Arizona time. Okay. Is that enough?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay. Did you learn something? I know I did. Where did that one come from? Questions. You are in time zone A. You are entering a calendar event that is happening in time zone B. What time do you enter? A, do you calculate the time for time zone A? Or B, enter the time zone for B and select the time zone.
Number 2, B, you definitely need to enter the time in the local time where the event is happening and specify the time zone.
Okay, true or false? Every calendar time entry has a time zone, whether you see it or not.
True. Oh, and I didn't actually show that.
Did you want to show that?
Yeah, I do. I do. So yeah, these yoga classes on my calendar here.
There we go.
These yoga classes, these are online. These are Zoom classes, and I don't want to miss them. So, but is it really 11:30 a.m. wherever I am, or I don't know. I cannot see the time zone there. But if I go into edit, I will see the time zone. It says that it was scheduled for 1:30 Eastern time. But because I am in Central time, it's showing up on my calendar as 11:30. Thank you very much. I won't miss my class.
Okay.
And that's the answer to number 3.
How do you see the time zone for any calendar entry? Well, you just got it. Okay.
Edit. You
Edit.
need to go in Google Calendar. You need to go into edit, and then you will see the time zone.
Okay, times are displayed for the time zone set for the calendar. And how do you see the time zone for the calendar?
That's in the settings for the calendar. Now, it also has a setting that says use the time, the system time, whatever time your computer thinks it is. And it will prompt you to change the calendar time. But if you need to make sure that your calendar is in the right time zone, you go into your settings. And think about it. You could have multiple calendars. Let's say that you work with somebody and you need in Italy, and you are working with his schedule. Well, you would make a calendar that used the Italy time zone, and you'd still have another calendar for you at your time zone.
True or false? GMT and UTC are both standard times for calculating times in different zones.
True. When you look at any given time zone, it's shown in either GMT or UTC, plus or minus a number of hours.
Okay. I want to remind you folks about the Backstage Pass. If you are a premium member, you have a Zoom link that you can follow, either from an email that Chris sent out earlier or on our geeksontour.com website in the member login menu item. Sign up for our free newsletters at geeksontour.com. Members get the 2021 issue of the book now at geeksontour.com/ebooks. Become a premium member and subscribe to this channel, please. Chris, what's the web page that lists all of our YouTube shows?
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is YouTube shows.
And the web page that lists all of our recent newsletters.
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is blogs and news. You'll find newsletters under there.
Okay. Become a member, please. You can sign up at geeksontour.com/join now.
And some of you we hope to see in Gillette.
And in Rock Springs.
And in Rock Springs, yeah.
Right.
We've all our RVing friends. We hope to see you in Wyoming. We will probably not do another show until after those are over.
Right. I don't expect we'll have time.
Yeah, we're going to be pretty busy, but it's great fun.
It is fun, and we hope to see you there if you're going to be there.
But even if you're not there, you can see all of our class materials.
For those classes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So you can, as if you were taking the classes on our website, geeksontour.com. If you just go to /FMCA, it lists all the classes we're teaching there and gives links to the class materials. And the second one is geeksontour.com/escapade.
Okay. Now, so that's it for this week. I'm Jim,
I'm Chris.
and we are
Geeks on Tour.
We'll see you in the Zoom meeting afterwards or the next show. Be well, stay safe,